Hello and welcome to the Integrate OpenNebula and Veeam Backup and Replication screencast. In this screencast, we will walk through the process of integrating OpenNebula with Veeam Backup and Replication software using the oVirt API module, as well as test the backup and restore functionality. This integration is using the rsync-based backup data store as an intermediate storage. The data store must be created first and should contain the specific attribute Veeam_ds equals yes to indicate its purpose, otherwise Veeam integration is going to fail. As a part of the integration, the specific appliance is going to be installed by Veeam. This appliance requires at least 6 CPUs, 6 gigs of memory, and 100 gigs of free disk space. Make sure you can accommodate the appliance before proceeding. There is a specific package that needs to be installed, OpenNebula-oVirt API. This package can be found only in the enterprise repository. All the settings, configurations, and operations are executed from the Veeam console, leveraging the Veeam's native workflow. That is a significant advantage if you know how to operate Veeam or already using it in your environment. Firstly, let's install the necessary package. The package name is OpenNebula-oVirt API. It is going to use a web server as the proxy, so make sure that HTTP and HTTPS listening ports aren't occupied on the server where you are going to host the oVirt API plugin. OpenNebula oVirt API comes with a default configuration file. Let's use the preferred text editor and change two parameters. one_XML RPC. Set it to the OpenNebula frontend's IP address. public_IP, set it to the IP address that Veeam is going to use to communicate with the oVirt API server. Save changes and restore the Apache HTTPD. The integration relies on a backup data store with the type rsync, and we must create it first. In the Sunstone web interface, navigate to Storage, Data Stores, and press the Create button. Select the type backup, name it rsync Veeam, and set the driver to rsync. Pick the cluster for this data store and navigate to the Configuration tab. In the Configuration tab, you must set two attributes, rsync host and rsync user. Make sure to prepare your backup server to be used by OpenNebula as the backup data store. Please visit the official OpenNebula documentation to learn more. Last step is very important. We must add the key pair with the key Veeam_ds and value yes to make sure that Veeam integration can use this data store. Once the data store has been saved, let's proceed to the Veeam console and perform the configuration and deployment of the backup infrastructure. In the console, press Add Server and select the virtualization platforms from the option list. Select the Oracle Linux Virtualization Manager from the Virtualization Platform list. On the next screen, input the FQDN or IP address of the oVirt API proxy. Next, set the credentials to be used to perform the backup. In the scope of this demonstration, we are going to leverage the OneAdmin access. Confirm the verification and accept the self-signed certificate. Once added, you'll be presented with an option to deploy the backup appliance. Answer positively to proceed with the deployment. In the cluster option, select the OpenNebula cluster that will host the appliance. We're going to use the default cluster. Name the appliance the way you wish. Select the image data store to be used to store the disk image of this appliance. Select the credentials to be used to deploy an appliance from the drop-down list. Select the routable network for the virtual appliance's network card. Because the Veeam Backup Appliance is lacking the context package that are used by OpenNebula to configure networking, we'll need to manually set the IP address. This IP address must be the next sequential address from the pool. To figure out your next IP address, navigate to the Sunstone Web UI. Go to the Virtual Network tab and open the virtual network you wish to assign. Look at the virtual network's address range and inspect the currently leased ones. Based on this information, configure the static network settings for the backup appliance and press the Save button. Enable the Secure Shell access and press the Apply button. The overall process of deploying the appliance, updating and configuring it may take a while. Make sure to observe the process to catch and resolve any errors during the deployment. Once the appliance has been deployed, we can consider the integration as successful and can press the Finish button to finalize the installation. After that, it's time to verify that the integration is working and the VM can be both backed up and restored to its previous state. To verify that the integration is working correctly, we're going to perform the backup of a virtual machine with the web server running. Then we will modify the page to reflect the changes. Finally, restore the virtual machine performing the in-place restore to verify that the web page has been returned to its original state. In the Veeam Backup and Replication console, select the Backup Job menu item and the virtual machine from the drop-down list. Let's give it a name, for example, Backup Web Server, and go to the next page. Press Add to list the virtual machines in the OpenNebula environment and select one from the list. You can select many to be part of the same backup job. However, in the scope of this demonstration, we're going to backup only one virtual machine. Proceed to the next screen and adjust the retention policy should you need to. Finally, configure the scheduler according to your needs and press the Apply button. To make the initial backup straight away, select the Run the job when I click Finish checkbox and press Finish. To observe the backup process, go to Running Jobs and select one that's currently in the working status. Let's navigate to the page before modifying or restoring it. As we can see, the web page is in its original state. Now it is time to modify the HTML page. We're going to substitute only one word to indicate that the page has been modified and proceed to saving the file. Let's refresh the page. As seen on the screen, the modifications have been applied. Now let's perform the in-place restore. In Veeam console, navigate to Backup Disks and select the backup job you'd like to restore. From the control panel, press the Entire VM option and select the virtual machine to restore. Keep the Restore to the original location option selected and proceed to the Reason tab. Optionally, write a reason for the restore operation. Verify the action in the Summary tab and press the Finish button. Observe the restore process until it finishes. Depends on the size of the disk, it may take a while. Once the virtual machine has been restored, let's switch back to the web page. Once refreshed, we can see that it has been returned to its original state. With this, we can consider that the backup and the restore operations are working as expected. And this concludes the screencast where we have shown how to integrate OpenNebula with Veeam Backup and Replication software and had verified that both operations, backup and restore are working as expected. Thank you for watching and see you in the next screencast.